Today's question is, what does it feel like when you first start using heroin? Now, I'm going to answer this. I've had years of my life lost this horrible drug. I'm going on 3 years clean now. I don't want your praises. I don't want your congratulations. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. And we can just analyze it for what it is. But what does it feel like? Not like what you see down the road, with people, nodding out all over the place, scratching, and either that or appearing states of euphoria, states of withdrawal. What does it feel like when someone first starts doing it, and it is under control, or at least it's more under control than obviously what happens next? What does it feel like? What sucks you in? How can you put this in a way that someone who's never done it and never plans to do it can nonetheless relate? Because if you've never felt like if you've never drank alcohol and someone asked you to describe what it feels like to have a buzz, it would be hard because if someone's never had an alcohol buzz, how can you conjure that up? Nonetheless, I'm gonna try and do that. I think it's actually easier to do that with heroin. So, and one more specification. This is not most people when they start using heroin, they start by snorting it or perhaps smoking it. Most people don't start injecting it. And that's the misconception that a lot of society probably has. Maybe not now that the epidemic is so in our faces, but like most people don't start using needles. That's something that happens down the road. And when you use a needle, it's literally a completely different drug, a completely different experience. So, what's it like when you first start smoking or first start snorting heroin? Okay, here's what I want everyone to imagine. Imagine this situation. And I'm borrowing a little bit from ideas that I've seen on the web. So if you've seen these ideas before, I am admitting that I'm borrowing from other people. It's early in the morning. It's a cold day. Let's say January. It's been snowing off and on for the past couple of days. 6 o'clock in the freaking morning. You got to get up and go to work. You got to go to school. Your windshield's frosted over. There's frustrated drivers all over the road. You're sitting in traffic. You don't want to go to work. You're tired. You're trying to chug down your coffee to feel better. It's not working. And suddenly your phone rings. Your phone rings and it's your teacher. It's your boss. It's whomever you have to go report to. The person says, hey, I don't actually need you to come in today. Don't worry about it. You're not needed. Weather canceling our plans. So you take a deep breath and you pull out of traffic and you pull over, let's say, like a little parking lot, and you park your car. You're trying to figure out what your plan's going to be because you're awake. I mean, you are awake. You're not usually awake at this hour in the morning unless you have to go to work or school. But you're awake. And as you're sitting there in your car heater is finally starting to kick in. And you look out and it's starting to snow as well. And it's those big, beautiful, picturesque snowflakes that fall real slowly. The kind of snow that, has its associated silencing effect. The kind of snow that almost makes you feel, in a bizarre way, you feel warmer when it's snowing. Maybe it's just excitement. But you've gone from stuck in traffic, having to go somewhere you don't want to go to be sitting, relaxing in a parking lot, watching a beautiful snowfall, warming up, and suddenly you have the whole day to yourself. You're awake, and you're going to accomplish something. Well, that transition from a state of, let's call it, misery and suffering to a state of acceptance and almost joy. In this case, it was circumstances out of your control that forced that on you, that forced you to feel that way. But nonetheless, that shift in your emotions, that's what heroin feels like. That's it. Doing heroin shifts you from one state of mind to another state of mind. What you're doing is you found a chemical that as long as you take it, these types of circumstances will immediately impose on your life, and you'll go from not wanting to do what you're doing in a current day, being stuck, frustrated, whatever, to just being content. You're content. You're content to do whatever you are doing. You're content. You're not stressed. You're content. And you're going to say, like, yeah, that's it? That's how you're going to describe the biggest, baddest drug out there? It's just the shift from discontentment to contentment? But yeah. And it's precisely because it's so benign like that. You're like, this is it? It's so benign. It's not like, most other drugs, you do some coke and bam, you take some acid and bam, whatever. It's so freaking subtle, and you just feel like yourself. You don't feel like you have some foreign thing in your body that's telling you to, making you, act way out of character. You feel like the best version of yourself that you know. And that feeling is so freaking addictive. And because you're going to get addicted to having the ability to exchange your money for the best version of yourself that you think you know, that's going to spiral the loop out of control, and it's slowly going to fall away from you, and it's going to go from benign to the worst thing in the world. But yeah, like when you start, that's what it is. Snowflakes and sunshine.